What's good, guys? It's DL Saint. Earlier today, we were talking about the runway incursion that occurred at Chicago Midway involving a Southwest 737 and Flex Jet, which is a private jet company. I believe the airplane that they were flying was a Falcon. We'll have to check it out to see. I'm not quite sure. But earlier today, I was saying it's really hard to give you a good uh, critique of what's going on without hearing the transmissions. I was saying before, like, hey, I think it was probably a controller error. Obviously, whenever an airplane gets onto an active runway without permission, you would think that's the controller's fault. Or I was also saying it's a chance that the pilots made a mistake. So we're going to hear the transmissions from this accident. This incident wasn't an accident; it was an incident. This runway incursion, and we can, I can kind of give you a breakdown as we go along. As you guys know, I'm a retired air traffic controller, over 20 years in the business, and I work some pretty busy towers. So let's get into it. So right there's a video. There's a Southwest climbing out. There's a jet taxiing across. That's never supposed to happen.
Jet 560 signature with Tango taxi. Jet 560, runway, actually departure frequency is 119.35. Runway 22 left. What taxi are you coming out of?
Okay, right away. So first call, FlexJet calls up. This is FlexJet 560. We're with you for taxi. The air traffic controller is probably looking at a bunch of strips. They got flight progress strips in front of him. He's trying to figure out, okay, that's one of the biz jets to call me. They probably have a section for the biz jets. Maybe it's alphabetical order about a call sign. So he's looking for a flex jet. Okay, here it is. He pulls up the strip. So he knows who he's talking to. And he's pretty sure that this guy is at the General Aviation FBO or something like that. But he needs to be sure, verify where the guy is. But right away, he noticed on the strip there was some information that FlexJet needed. FlexJet needed a departure frequency. So the first thing the ground controller did was issue the departure frequency. So FlexJet sending the airplane, wanting the taxi, he's ready to taxi. And the first thing ground does is say, hey, got a departure frequency for you. So FlexJet's like, oh, let me grab a pen. Let's write this down. So right away, that's not what FlexJet was expecting. But no problem. Pilots roll with the punches all the time. Got a departure frequency for you. Okay. He writes down the departure frequency. The ground controller checks off the progress strip. I pass that information. That's whatever their rules are that govern the strip marking. The ground controller does that. But pay attention to the voice and the tone of the ground controller and the tone of the pilot on the radio. Does the pilot sound confident? Does he sound confident? Do you believe, based on listening to this guy, that he knows where he is and he's comfortable with the instructions that were given to him? Right? And from the controller standpoint, does the controller believe that this airplane is going to handle these instructions without a problem? And does the controller even know where this airplane is? And my third question is, did the controller see the airplane? Did he actually put his eyes on the airplane? Let's continue.
We're over at Whiskey, FlexJet 560. Should 560 record taxi via Foxtrot and hold short of runway 22 right. Plan for runway 22 left.
All right, so right now, we've gotten away from standard phraseology. The ground controller is not using standard phraseology. Why? Because the ground controller isn't quite sure he knows what his plane is. FlexJet said we're holding short of Whiskey. And it looks like Whiskey kind of runs the length of that terminal, that ramp where he is. Where on Whiskey? Whiskey Alpha, Whiskey Foxtrot. Where on Whiskey? So the pilot, again, in my opinion, the pilot's not really sure of his location, not really sure where he is on the airport. I mean, he knows he's at Signature, but he doesn't know what taxiway. And then the ground controller gives instructions, but he didn't do it by the book, right? So he's assigning runways. He's kind of doing it. He's never really assigned a runway. Now he's jumbling up his words. This is always a problem in air traffic. Standard phraseology keeps you out of trouble 100% of the time. If you use your phraseology by the book, you're gonna be fine. And this is what I train controllers all the time. Man, use standard phraseology. Use standard phraseology. Runway 22 left taxi via Whiskey Foxtrot, hold short, runway 13 right at Foxtrot 1 or something like that. And I've never worked this airport. I'm just looking at this diagram right here. Right, there's 13 right, there's probably 13 left next to it. So this is an issue. Standard phraseology is not being applied here. So when the FAA does this investigation, if I were on the team, that's the first thing I would point to. This ground controller's phraseology isn't where it should be.
All right, plan for 22 left, Foxtrot Whiskey, FlexJet 560. Hey, ground, FlexJet 560. I just want to confirm our taxi instructions for 22 left, 60. Yeah,
right now, the pilot didn't really move. He's trying to figure out. He's probably got a chart on his leg. He's trying to figure out how he's going to get there. 22 left. He's like, hey, I just want to confirm these instructions. Again, the pilot doesn't sound sure to me. This is an airplane I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch this airplane get to the runway. Chicago Midway has a lot of runways, a lot of taxiways. Very, very confusing over there. Very confusing. Very confusing. It's tough as a pilot when you're out there taxiing around these airports with a lot of runways and taxiways and you're unfamiliar, right? One of the toughest airports that I've ever been to was Long Beach in California. Long Beach Airport, man, they got taxiways and runways all over the place. It is a maze. It is crazy down there. And sitting in the front of the plane, like, I'm not a pilot, but I spend a lot of time in the front of the plane, just up there like, bro, where are we? And you're trying to look at the signage and the signs are confusing. You know, it'll say Alpha 179 and this arrow's going every different direction. Like, bro, which way are we supposed to go? So when I hear a pilot, I ask the pilot where he is, and he's kind of shaky on giving me, a position. And then he calls me again. It's like, hey, verify his taxi instructions. Right away, I'm thinking, this is a guy that's unfamiliar. Let me find out where he is exactly. And the ground controller, I don't believe the ground controller sees this airplane yet.
The ramp are you, sir? We're in Signature Aviation at Alpha taxi. Okay, taxi Alpha, Foxtrot, hold short of 22 right. Alpha Fox, hold short 22 right, FlexJet 560.
All right, so now the ground controller probably sees him. Alpha, Foxtrot, hold short, runway 22 right. Now again, going back to my original statement about phraseology, I would have restated the runway assignment, whatever the runway assignment is, runway, whatever it is, runway 31 left, taxi, via Alpha, Foxtrot, hold short, or whatever runway that is. Like, you want to make sure that your phraseology is perfect, and you want to make sure the pilot reads it back correctly, and then you want to make sure that the pilot executes, right? It doesn't get confused. This is the guy I would be watching. I'm going to keep my eye on this airplane.
FlexJet 560, turn left on runway 4 left, cross runway 31 left, and hold short of runway 31 center. Right, left on 4 left, cross 22 or 13 center, FlexJet 560. FlexJet 560 negative, cross runway 31 left, hold short runway 31 center. Cross 31.
So it looks like the airplane, the pilot got really confused, and it looks like he managed to turn onto an active runway. That's what it looks like. He's reading back the instructions, and he's really confused. And he got off the path. He got off the path. This is going to be a problem. So let's continue.
Hold short 31 center, FlexJet 560.
And there's the picture of the Southwest jet landing. And you have this
Southwest
private jet crossing his active runway.
2504 going around. 2504, roger that, maintain 3000.
Southwest 504 saw the airplane coming onto his runway, and he initiated to go around. The local controller didn't see it. The ground controller didn't see it. I'm pretty sure they got ASDX. What is ASD? ASD is a computerized system that watches all the runways. So if someone gets onto the runway, it alerts the controllers. I didn't hear that in the background. That thing is very loud. If it went off, we would be able to hear it. There's a lot of problems right here. A lot of problems. I got my daughter waiting here for me to help her out. I'll come to your room in a second. I'll be right there. So this right here is not what's supposed to happen, obviously. Right? The Southwest pilot sees the jet coming. He takes off. He powers up, goes around, right? Because he was landing. They're like, we don't do this. We're going around. They saw it. Great job. If Southwest didn't see that jet, more than likely they would have hit. It would have been horrible. That would have been horrific. So they saw it. They went around. Then the tower's like going around, and the tower looks up. Like, ground control should have been yelling, but here's the thing. I don't believe ground control saw that flex jet. The guy got lost out there. I don't think ground control saw him. That should have been his highest priority. This pilot doesn't sound like he's familiar here. This pilot doesn't sound confident. Let me watch this guy. Even if it means that flex jet has to sit on a ramp a little bit longer, I'm going to take care of some stuff, and I can be able to give flex jet what's called progressive taxi. Like, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. Turn right at this intersection, continue down to the next intersection, then hold. Something like that. Then you get them up to the runway. Proceed up to the runway. Get them up to the runway. Okay, now you tell them to cross straight ahead. Taxi straight ahead. Cross runway, whatever the runway is. Right? You want to be, sometimes you got to hold their hand. That's what the air traffic controllers are there for. Let's continue.
Southwest 2504 up to 3000. Flight 560, hold your position there. Hold position, Flight 560. Flight 560, continue across the hold short of hotel. Across the hold short hotel, Flight 560. So 2504, unable, turn left heading 220. Left heading 220, Southwest 2504. Flight 560, your instructions are to hold short of runway 31 center.
Right, so this is a controller he's trying to play it for the tapes. Your instructions were to do this, your instructions were to do that. A lot of controllers think that's going to help them in a situation. It's not. What the controller's trying to do is like, it's your fault. And then they go on to give the pilot the phone numbers, a possible pilot deviation. That's just getting into ATC stuff. That basically means we think you did something wrong. Here's a phone number. We're going to need you to call you so we can get some information. That's all that is. Right? So based on the transmissions that I heard and what we saw here, I would definitely say 75% of this is going to have to go into the pilot. Unfortunately, the pilot should have asked for progressives like, hey, man, I don't know where I am. I'm lost. Hey, ground, can you help me out? The pilot didn't do that. But at least 25% of this goes to ground, maybe even more, actually. Ground should have heard that this pilot wasn't confident. Ground should have been able to recognize that, hey, I'm going to have to give this guy a little more attention, especially at an airport like Midway. Look at all those runways. Like, look at all those runways. And this video, of course, will be in the link, the description below. It's real easy to have an airplane get away from you. They're probably busy. Maybe they're not. Who knows? I'm not hearing ground talk to a lot of people, which is even worse. If this is the only airplane you're talking to and he gets on a runway, really, and two runways, right? This is a bad, bad thing. But I'm just trying to think what the FAA will do. They're going to put probably the majority of the blame on the pilot, but I don't know. I think I would put more blame on the controller. You got to be able to recognize when you might have a potential problem. All we have in air traffic control are these radios, man. Basically, you got your voice, and your voice and your confidence, man, that means so much. I've had people out there who just real shaky on the radio, but really good pilots, right? And after, months and months and years of working with these people, you realize like, oh, dude has a shaky voice, but he's a solid pilot. But every controller's like, we got to watch this guy. All the new guys say, oh, we got to watch this guy. He doesn't sound like he knows what he's doing. This is why air traffic control is such a tough job, guys. This is it right here. This is why it's so hard. There's so many little details there that good controllers and experienced controllers know to look for. And we have, we got controllers out there who haven't quite learned their lesson. This guy just learned a valuable lesson here. Hopefully he won't do it again. But this controller definitely, in my opinion, this controller could use a little bit of retraining. Will that happen? Probably not. I'm not going to get into the reasons as to why, but it probably won't happen. So I don't know. There you go. That's what happened in Chicago, right? So that's the breakdown there, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We're this close to getting back into the studio, guys. We're this close to getting back to the studio. I can't wait. Hopefully by the end of the week, we'll be up and running and back into the studio. But until then, we're going to be doing our breakdowns like this. Appreciate you guys. I hope you get something out of this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you do, don't be afraid to hit a like, man, and tell me what you like, what you don't like. We're going to continue to cover this ATC stuff. Man, it seems that every day now, there's something for us to talk about. Crazy, huh? Hope you guys are having a good day. I'm DL Saint. I'll talk to you later. Peace.